Hello YouTube, this is Froogle and welcome to the first Froogles Hangar of 2017. Before I jump in, let me explain what Froogles Hangar is. Froogles Hangar is a series of videos that I started last year. I'm going to run them throughout this year as well, where I jump into a simulator or an add-on that I'm not intimately familiar with and just spend some time getting to know it and explore it and bring you along for the ride. If you are the kind of viewer who is going to get really upset at seeing a YouTube video where somebody really doesn't know that much about what they're doing, don't watch this. Seriously, it's not worth the effort. Go watch something more entertaining. But for the rest of you, let's dive in. This is Explain 11. Now, I haven't had a chance to spend a lot of time with this, hence Froogles Hangar. I've done maybe 2 flights in it and I fired it up and it was pretty staggering. We're just going to spend some time running through what we've got here and exploring. So first of all, you'll notice brand new user interface. That was the big deal with Explain 11 more than anything else, is that brand new UI, and it's really kind of sexy. I like it. I can resume my last flight. I don't know what that's going to do. I don't know if it saves my flight periodically and puts me back into that flight. I'm not sure. I'm not going to click on that. New flight, load a save flight, flight score. Haven't clicked that yet. Let's look at that. Whoa. That's kind of cool. So I can learn about X-Plane basics, take off in a Cessna, tail dragger, take off landing. Very, very cool. Look at that. And the graphics look superb. What else have we got? Navigation, VORs and ILSs, and then helicopters. Helicopter basics. I imagine there's going to be about 75 helicopter lessons in here because helicopters are hard in X-Plane and wonderfully satisfying. Let's get rid of that. What else have we got? Settings. This is radically simplified over what it used to be. So here's my sounds. Let's look at general. So the language, number of frame, model updates per frame. That's pretty normal. A lot of this stuff you'll be familiar with if you've used X-Plane before. It just looks a lot better. The biggest changes are actually in graphics. Look, we go over here to graphics. Much less options now. A lot less confusing now. I like this a great deal. So field of view, I tend to have my field of view around about 85. I prefer it that way. And yeah, all the usual settings here. So default view, allow windshield effects, the field of view, wraparound offsets. Great. But in terms of stuff that would affect the frame rate, it's very simple. So visual effects, texture quality, anti-aliasing, number of world objects, reflection detail. I could honestly probably run anti-aliasing off. I'm actually recording this at 4K and then I downscale it before it goes out to the YouTube. Notice track IR and track hat down here can be enabled as well. I'm not using track hat or track IR today. Network, don't really care about, but you can with X-Plane plug in external devices like iPads and use iPad software to track your flight just like you would in a real aircraft, because X-Plane is a very serious sim. Data output, if I want to see the frame rate, I can click on that. I do want to see the frame rate, so that's turned on. Now this is very cool. Joystick. I remember seeing at Flight SimCon last year the X-Plane team talking about building in support for most common joysticks. I'm currently got my Thrustmaster Warthog and a few other devices plugged in. Check this out. So there's the Derek Spear Designs Flight Series button box. I'm going to do a video on that, by the way. And if we drop this down, look, HOTAS Warthog throttle, MFG crosswinds. Let's check on my crosswinds. Okay, simple stuff. So there's my axes, that's yaw, left and right brakes, wonderful. But look, if you go to a device that X-Plane knows about, like my Warthog, check this out. Whoa, that is beyond cool. You can highlight the buttons on this image and it will show you the section over here that we're talking about. I think that is sublime, absolutely beautiful. Similarly, if I go to the joystick, look, love it. So I didn't have to reconfigure anything here. I just plugged it in and it picked it up and it gave me default assignments for everything, and it's actually really, really good. I like it. GPS hardware, again, you can plug in external GPSs, and keyboard. All the usual keyboard settings can be here as well. So much simpler interface. Let's go ahead and create a new flight. This is simplified and changed and made altogether more awesome. So I'm currently in the Beechcraft Baron 58. I'm going to change that. I'm at Innsbruck. I've seen a couple of other people put out X-Plane videos at Innsbruck. I'm going to kind of follow the trend because Innsbruck is just so pretty. So we'll take the Beechcraft Baron for now because I just want to look around the airport. And I can change the weather here. So I can go presets, clear, cirrus, scattered, broken, overcast, and awful. Let's go to, what do we got? Let's go scattered. And you can customize this and set in the cloud layers here and the wind layers. And there's so much control here and it looks a whole lot better. Thermals. Where are the thermals? What do they do? What about the body of water that's out there? Do we have waves on the local bodies of water? And so on. fabulous stuff. Weather mode manually configured or real world conditions. So I can download from the interwebs and get the real world conditions, which is great. What else? What else? What else? Go back to flight configuration. I can do the same thing with time and day. I can customize the time and day here. Track the real world date and time if I want to. And you've got keys in the sim as well to change that as well. And again, here's the location. And I'm starting at the ramp here at Innsbruck. And if we click on customize, so I can start at the ramp, various ramps here, or I can choose the runway and choose the runway I want to start at. We'll go on the ramp GA ramp south, and it shows you where that is, and you can zoom in down there. That beautiful. So before you even jump in the cockpit, you can see where you are and how to get where you need to be in order to take off. So confirm, and having done all of that, we can just click on start flight. I've got two things not configured. I'm going to ignore those, and it will drop us into the simulator. The simulator seems to start and load a lot faster than it used to as well, which is wonderful. So performance seems to have been optimized. Now, I don't have any add-ons installed in this. I know normally when I do X-Plane videos, I have add-ons, I have third-party scenery installed, I have different aircraft installed. Everything you're going to see now is stock. And the reason I'm keeping it as stock is it's not that bad. I think the only thing that I have a concern with is the clouds look pretty awful, actually. They look a little bit like smoke and a little bit like cotton candy. But other than that, everything is actually really, really, really lovely, as you're about to see. All right, we're there. Now, I don't have the full feature list of X-Plane 11, and it is a beta. You can go and pre-order X-Plane 11 today, and that will get you onto the beta as well. So ignore me if I missed stuff here, but let me drop outside. I know they changed the reflection model, they changed the sound model as well. Let's get in here. I don't know if my buttons are all going to work. Probably not. That's the wrong view. There we go. That's the view I want. So we should get different sounds. Not on this aircraft. Maybe just on some aircraft. But different reflection model, different materials models as well. This isn't as shiny and plastic looking as it used to. Looks pretty cool. Still the characteristic X-Plane shadow stutter there. Nice hazing, atmospheric scattering going on. Look, there's vehicles on the runway, look. And they're driving properly. These guys are on the right-hand side of the road. This guy's on the right-hand side. That does look like just somebody's car driving around the airport. There's a truck coming. Active airports. Where are you going? Look at that. He drove around all these vehicles. It's a BMW. Somebody in their BMW. Are you just gonna, what are you going to do? I'm curious about the life of the person in this car. What is their plan today? What are they up to? Is he just going to stop there? There's a truck coming. You better not pull out. It's a food truck. Wonderful, alive airport. This is standard scenery. Not all the airports are this detailed, of course. But for standard scenery, this is pretty nice. I like. Okay. Let's go taxi. Let's see what this is like. So shift 9, get me back in the cockpit here. I'm not going to do all this by the book. I don't even have all my controls set up to do everything by the book. I've just really got the throttles in here, and that's about it, I think. I don't think I have the props. No, I don't. Need to plug in my extra controls for that. Now, I did press B. There we go. I'm going to steer here. Now, I do have, as you saw in the graphics, everything is almost maxed. So I am getting some stuttering here. I'm also running on a window because I record these videos now with Shadowplay, and the only way to record X-Plane, which is an OpenGL application with Shadowplay, is actually to start Shadowplay first and then fire up the OpenGL app in a window. A little bit of bouncing as we move along here, but that's okay. It's not as dramatic, I think, as it used to be. My joystick is all working here. See what I mean about the clouds? It looks like someone's having a really bad bonfire in their garden. It's not really nice, but you can upgrade the clouds fairly easily. Should have changed the weather actually and made it clear so we can see these beautiful mountains, because the mountain scenery looks amazing. I can hold down Shift K and Shift L and change the time of day. Look, that's kind of cool. Get some very dramatic shots here by making it late afternoon, for example, which is what I'm trying to do right now. You can see the clock winding up. There we go. Late afternoon. Beautiful. Doesn't feel as twitchy as stock aircraft in X-Plane 10 did. It's a little bit twitchy though if you're used to prepared and FSX. The big difference, I think, for most simmers between FSX prepared and X-Plane is the feel. And realistically in the air, X-Plane has always felt better. My only problem with X-Plane has always been the lack of very high quality add-ons, and that's increasing, which is a wonderful thing, but in general there's a lot more choice on FSX and Prepared. Alright, I'm kind of regretting not having track IR on at this point, because it's going to be hard to measure my turns, but we'll manage. Still running the frame rate up there. I have it kind of locked at 30-ish, which is great, and given that everything is maxed out, and recording actually, that's pretty awesome. So I'm not going to mess with lights, I'm not going to mess with all that stuff. It's a Froogles Hangar video. I'm just messing around and learning and figuring out and exploring. Look at the lighting. Oh my goodness. On the mountain surrounding Innsbruck, the shadowing there is amazing. Stock scenery. Okay, here's the runway. Let's see if I can do this without having to grab the mouse. Because like you saw, I am flying with a Thrustmaster Warthog. So it's not that easy when flying with a joystick. It's another reason to use a yoke, by the way. It's not that easy flying with a joystick to take your hand off the joystick and grab the mouse and do stuff. And what I'll do once I get this up in the air is I'll go into the graphics settings. We'll turn some stuff down because it is getting a little bit jerky there. Sloping runways. Airspeed alive. 80 knots. Should be able to take off now. Whoa, probably need to trim this aircraft a little bit. There we go. Positive rate gear up. And we'll climb on up. So I think what I'm going to do first is I am going to change the weather here. How do I do that? View, flight config. There we go. Weather. Let's change this to scattered. I'll apply changes. There we go. Now we can see more of the scenery. Let me look around here with the mouse now. Wow. The shadowing and the lighting on the scenery is really good. And you can see I've got a ton of detail on ground objects as well running. Let's pop outside. There. That is a pretty shot. Really. Really, really nice for stock. That's pretty gorgeous. Okay, now what I said I would do is I would change some of the graphic settings and see the effect on the frame rates here. So I'm going to go ahead and do just that. So back up here. Whoops. Flight note, view, where's... Oh, settings is actually up here now. So if I click on here, that drops me into the settings. So I can go graphics, visual effects is everything max. Let's turn anti-aliasing down. Like I said, I'm running at 4K. I kind of don't need that. And see what that does. That gave me another 3 or 4 frames. That's pretty nice. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. I need to reset my view. Let's see what it's like, how it feels. So feeding in a little rudder here. Yeah, it's still a little jerky, isn't it? Let's go fix that. Settings. Number of world objects is currently high and reflection detail is currently low. So let's take the number of world objects down to a medium. See if we can break, say, 40, 45 on the frame rate. Alright, we're back. So yeah, we're approaching 40 frames now. It still feels a little jerky, but we are actually approaching 40 frames per second at this point. Not bad, given the level of detail out here. Still a little jerky in place. That could also be because I'm running in a window, as opposed to full screen. There's the runway. Let's almost do a circuit. And I'm going to tweak some more settings. I really want to keep messing with this and see what I can get. So back up here to settings now. The other two big things, well, texture quality, I'm going to leave that where it is. I got a GeForce GTX 1080, that should be just fine. But HDR and SSAO, maybe we can drop that down to just HDR. What else do we have here? Oh, I crashed it. No, I didn't. Okay, so let's go up to HDR here and click on Done. No, it didn't have a big effect. It did change the look of things. It's a lot more hazy now. In terms of the frame rate, that really did very little. Although it does feel smoother. How curious is that? So my frame rate is really unaffected, but it is actually a great deal smoother. Huh, who knew? Okay, I'm going to try and land this, and then we can look at the replay functions. I don't know if the default binding for the Thrustmaster Warthog's throttle enables the flap button. It does! Approach flaps. Cool. Yeah, we know, gears up. Alright, so let's raise that. Let's not mess with that just yet. Oh, trimming would be lovely. Oh my goodness. A little bit low. And again, I don't have all my views set up, so it's going to be hard to look around. Not ideal. I'll try. Okay, there's a runway. We're not a beam yet. I like it. I think overall it looks better. And I actually always thought the sim looked nice anyway. It looks better. It performs really well. I guess the mountains are a little bit sharp there. But there are third-party available free meshes that you can download to rectify that and get you completely real-world looking mountains and scenery. The only problem, of course, with X-Plane, you don't have seasonal textures, but there is a project underway to do seasonal texturing in X-Plane. Again, a third-party thing that's being developed by the community. I say the community, that's kind of diminishing it a bit. It's probably one guy or two guys. I haven't looked into it in a lot of detail, but that's pretty cool. Alright, let's see if we can do some form of landing. And again, not doing anything by the book. Just really exploring the sim. I know people are going to shout at me about the mouse there. Let's try to remove the mouse. There we go. Okay. Turning now and get the speed down. One thing I always loved about X-Plane is the replay. Look at that hazing. The atmospheric scattering in the distance is absolutely superb. I like this. I think this has a lot of potential. Having moved the mouse off the screen now, I notice my throttle's not working, so I'll put that back. There we go, now my throttle's working. Okay, as the speed comes down, we'll drop the flaps. So approach flaps, we'll go gear down, in fact, now. And my approach flaps. Did that work? Yes, it did. Reset the view. A little bit fast, obviously. I think I'm a little bit high. We'll find out in a second. That's smooth as heck now. Interesting that turning SSAO off but leaving HDR on does not affect the frame rate, but did affect the smoothness. I have no idea why that would be. Full flaps. There's our runway. A bit more power now. We are dropping like a brick. We're actually on the glide slope, 2 whites, 2 reds. Now, flight dynamics in X-Plane, as I mentioned earlier, are really very different to Prepared and FSX. A lot of people, a lot of professional pilots say it's more realistic. I think it just feels more natural. Whoa, way too low. All reds is a bad thing. Greens is even worse, because that would be the landing lights filtering through the grass. Like I said, not a very well set up or by the book approach here. I'm really just trying the sim, and because my approach angle is so terrible I can't actually see the runway. Okay, there, that'll do it. Sloping runway, love that, love that, love that. Let's try to flare this. Boink. Alright, so now let's fire up that replay system where we can just look at the graphics for a little bit. Light. How do I do replay? There it is, Alt R. So I can drag this back to all the way to takeoff. Let's do that. Let's look at the takeoff here. See how we did. So that's taxiing out. Beautiful replay system. I wish Prepared or FSX had a replay system like X-Plane's. It really doesn't. I mean, it does, but it doesn't record flight control surfaces and all that good stuff that you really kind of want in a replay. Let's drop outside here. I keep reaching for my orb weaver, but I don't have that set up yet. Can I move this now? No. I got an X there implying close, but can't actually move it. Look at this. Bit of a bounce. Didn't have my trim set. Let's look at the animations on this stock aircraft as the gear come up. Pretty good. Holy awesome. And we're flying. Sound is a bit off here, but again, it's a beta. I know that they are overhauling the sound system and making it very positional. And I turned the number of objects in the world down from crazy to medium, and it's not too bad at all. Look, I can't see any vehicles on the road now, so I think I've turned that off by lowering the number of objects. But even the roads look good. See all the markings here? Alright, let's move this towards the landing. See how we do. It was a terrible landing. Look at that scenery though. Power lines running through the hills. The roads to nowhere. A common problem that has not been resolved, but that's fine. Who cares about the roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. Okay, so let's go to the view and put the view onto the runway. I like this new menu system. So view, instead of having a list that's a mile long here, view, move, and then choose what you want, which is kind of great. External, choose runway. Here. Now we're on the runway. Somewhere out there is an airplane. There it is. That would be me. I can drag with the mouse, hold the right mouse button down, and see the flaps down. And you can see that characteristic movement of the aircraft the X-plane has. Very fluid, very dynamic. Very cool. Data output graph, don't know what that does. Show control deflections. Okay. Oh, we're coming, I can hear the sound. Not the best landing in the world, but it was a landing. It's going to be a pretty hard landing, I think. Look at that sloping runway. Beautiful, beautiful. Doink. Okay, so let's put this back. I want to look at the aircraft and see if the gear compresses. Again, stock aircraft. You can forgive it if it doesn't all do what it's supposed to do, or what a real-world aircraft would do, but it's pretty cool if it does. Watch the gear. That's a compression. That's lovely. I like this. So there you go. Froogles Hangar. My first proper look, or not even proper, my first look at X-Plane 11. I really like where this is going. I know it's a religious thing. Do you prefer FSX or Paired or X-Plane? But I really like the way X-Plane's going. I just hope more developers jump on board now, and we start to see some very high quality and high fidelity add-ons, in particular scenery, weather, seasonal texturing, and of course study aircraft, of which there is a growing stable. As always, my name is Froogle. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you all very soon.